Hello friends. Have you ever met someone so effortlessly charming, so peacefully diplomatic, yet somehow hiding a world of stubborn quirks and emotional depth underneath their polished surface? Welcome to the enigmatic soul of a Libra born in the year of the pig. A paradox in motion, elegant but grounded, idealistic yet indulgent, gentle yet powerfully persistent. What happens when the air sign of Libra, ruled by Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, collides with the nurturing, pleasure-loving pig of the Chinese zodiac? You get someone who craves harmony but can be surprisingly stubborn. Someone who gives generously, sometimes to a fault. Someone who wants everyone to get along, even if it means ignoring their own needs until they crack. So let's pull back the velvet curtain and dive deep into the soul of this astrological blend. What's it like to love them? To do business with them? To betray them? To be them? Let's explore love, marriage, sex, friendship, business, their darker sides, and, most importantly, their true purpose in this wild journey we call life. Love, the romantic idealist with a soft belly. For a Libra born in the year of the pig, love is never just an emotion. It's a deeply sacred experience, one they often place above everything else in life. These individuals don't fall in love casually. They fall with purpose. From a young age, they're drawn to fairy tales, romantic dramas, love songs that sound like secrets whispered to the soul. They believe in soulmates, not in theory, but as a real, touchable presence waiting somewhere out there. Love, for them, is destiny's most important assignment, and they often spend their lives searching for a connection that feels like poetry. They don't want something that just works on paper. They want something that sings, emotionally, spiritually, physically, and intellectually. Their Libra side craves balance, aesthetics, and intellectual rapport. They want conversations that stimulate and challenge, a partner who can argue philosophy over coffee and quote Rumi before bed. The pig, on the other hand, brings a deeply rooted craving for warmth, safety, and sensuality. This makes the Libra pig an extraordinarily layered lover. They need your mind and your touch, your words and your actions, your affection and your presence. They want to know they're not just admired but genuinely felt. For them, love is not only about attraction. It's about emotional immersion, being seen, heard, and cherished for every layered, vulnerable, messy inch of who they are. The Libra pig doesn't play games. In fact, they can't. It's not in their nature. Emotional honesty is wired into their soul. If they like you, they'll show it. If they love you, they'll do so with wide-eyed transparency and raw sincerity. They don't believe in manipulation or power struggles. Those things break their spirit. But here's where it gets complex. Because of their fear of being alone, they can sometimes stay in relationships that don't serve them, hoping love will magically transform the flaws they silently carry. This tendency to endure can become self-sacrifice. They'll give second, third, and fourth chances, sometimes to people who don't deserve even the first. Conflict doesn't sit well with them. Libras naturally avoid confrontation. They don't want to stir chaos, and pigs are lovers, not fighters. Combine the two, and you get someone who may silently endure discomfort rather than speak up. They'll bite their tongue, swallow their sadness, and keep the peace, until their emotional dam bursts. And when it does, it doesn't explode outward. It floods inward, resulting in periods of quiet withdrawal, emotional burnout, or deep sadness masked behind polite smiles. This is a person who may appear calm on the surface while internally battling a tidal wave of unspoken needs. But when love is right, when they feel safe, valued, and emotionally held, their true brilliance emerges. They become unbelievably generous. They'll memorize your favorite snacks, remember your bad days before you do, bring you gifts just because, and tell you they love you in the smallest, most thoughtful ways, like warming your towel before a shower or cooking your favorite meal after a long day. Love for them is in the details. They don't need grand gestures. They crave presence and consistency. They give their whole heart, and they expect the same in return, not through words alone, but through effort, through gentleness, and above all, through emotional integrity. Emotionally, they're not always quick to open up. They lead with warmth and charm, but their deepest wounds are locked beneath layers of idealism and protectiveness. They fear being seen as too much, too needy, too sensitive, too soft, so they may downplay their emotions even when they're breaking inside. But once you earn their trust, the floodgates open. And what pours out isn't drama, it's depth. Conversations that last for hours, dreams spoken aloud, fears confessed in moonlit silence. This is not a superficial lover. This is someone who wants to merge souls. One of their greatest vulnerabilities is the belief that they must constantly give in order to deserve love. The Libra pig often equates self-worth with emotional usefulness. They'll listen, support, compromise, adjust, but rarely ask for much in return. This imbalance can turn into quiet suffering. They may begin to feel invisible or unappreciated, but instead of voicing it, they internalize it. Over time, this pattern can lead to resentment or emotional depletion. That's why it's so important for their partner to be not just receptive, but actively attentive, someone who not only sees their giving nature, but mirrors it with mutual care and compassion. Physically, their affection is deeply sensual, but never aggressive. They are lovers of touch, lovers of atmosphere, scented candles, warm lighting, soft music, cozy blankets. Their pig side is indulgent, creating a sanctuary of comfort and romance, while the Libra in them ensures everything feels aesthetically beautiful and emotionally cohesive. Their love language often includes acts of service and quality time, doing small things that make your life better, sitting beside you in silence because being near you is enough, showing up again and again just to remind you, you're not alone. When heartbroken, the Libra pig doesn't seek revenge. They don't lash out, they disappear into themselves, a quiet unraveling. They analyze where things went wrong, often blaming themselves, replaying every moment trying to understand. They may forgive too soon, or hold on too long. And even if they walk away, a part of their heart stays behind, whispering what-ifs in the quiet moments. They are not built for casual detachment. Every love leaves an imprint. But if nurtured, truly, intentionally nurtured, they become the kind of partner most people spend lifetimes searching for. The kind who wants to grow with you, not just be near you. The kind who will hold your hand through joy and grief, who will celebrate your weirdness, who will make love feel like a return to home. Their love is patient, it is tender, it is endlessly deep. And while they may walk through heartbreaks and illusions before finding it, their soul never gives up on the dream. The quiet belief that somewhere out there is a love as beautiful, soft, and real as the one they've carried in their heart all along. Marriage, a sanctuary built on shared values. Marriage, to the Libra born in the year of the pig, is not a legal arrangement, nor a romantic milestone to check off a life list. It's a calling, a soulful invitation to build a world together where love is the architecture and emotional safety is the foundation. For this astrological pairing, the commitment of marriage runs deeper than vows and rings. It becomes a life's work, a sacred project where every shared moment, every small act of care, every hard conversation, and every forgiveness adds another brick to the home they're building, not the physical one, but the emotional one. They don't just want a partner to live with. They want a co-creator, a witness, a mirror, a companion who chooses them again and again, long after the honeymoon glow has faded. They are the eternal dreamers of the zodiac when it comes to love, not in a naive way, but in a beautifully enduring one. The Libra influence brings a romantic idealism, visions of shared dinners, quiet mornings, handwritten notes tucked into lunch bags, and deep talks that stretch until dawn. The pig, meanwhile, is grounded and warm-hearted, desiring physical and emotional comfort, a family-like atmosphere, and an unshakable bond. Together, these two forces make the Libra pig spouse someone who values not just affection, but intimacy, the kind that's built through emotional vulnerability, shared routines, and everyday rituals that slowly weave two lives into one. Their loyalty is unshakable. Once they commit to marriage, they are in it wholeheartedly. Divorce is never an easy consideration for them. They see marriage as permanent unless proven impossible. They don't take commitment lightly. In fact, they may hesitate before marrying, precisely because they know how seriously they take the bond. But once they say, "I do," they will often move heaven and earth to protect that relationship. Their loyalty, however, is not blind. Though they're incredibly devoted, they expect the same in return, not just in faithfulness, but in presence, affection, attention, and respect. They want to feel seen and celebrated, not just tolerated or taken for granted. When those needs go unmet, they rarely explode or make demands. Instead, they begin to fade out emotionally, a retreat that happens slowly, subtly, but with lasting effects. Conflict in marriage is especially tricky for the Libra pig. Libras are natural diplomats. They hate conflict and will often do anything to avoid it, including sacrificing their own truth. Pigs, too, abhor emotional chaos and deeply value peace and harmony at home. The combination can create a dynamic where the Libra pig avoids rocking the boat at all costs. They will compromise, apologize, and try to smooth things over, sometimes to their own detriment. They're so uncomfortable with emotional turbulence that they may suppress their needs entirely. But avoidance is a dangerous game. Over time, little hurts and unspoken resentments pile up like dust in a forgotten corner, and one day, they burst forth not as a fight, but as fatigue, disillusionment, or quiet withdrawal. Their ideal partner is not just someone kind or romantic, it's someone emotionally intelligent. Someone who can detect when they're smiling through pain. Someone who knows how to gently coax them into truth, who listens without judgment, who doesn't use anger as a weapon or silence as punishment. They need a partner who is calm but not passive, strong but never domineering, structured but emotionally available. The Libra pig thrives in a relationship where mutual respect is the unshakable core, where no one is belittled, no one is dismissed, and both partners feel like teammates working toward a shared vision of life. They need affection, not just in grand gestures, but in consistency. In the way you hold their hand in public, in how you speak of them when they're not around, in your ability to show up when it's hard. Within a marriage, they bring a wealth of gifts. They are endlessly nurturing. They'll anticipate your needs before you even speak them. They'll celebrate your wins like they're their own. They'll make anniversaries into private holidays and turn mundane Sunday mornings into sacred rituals. They're affectionate without being clingy, dependable without being controlling. And they're incredible at creating a beautiful home environment, both physically and emotionally. They instinctively know how to turn a house into a sanctuary, a relationship into a refuge, a quiet evening into a memory. But their gifts can also be their wounds. Their tendency to give and give and give can lead to self-erasure. If married to a partner who takes more than they offer, the Libra pig may slowly lose their sense of self. They'll say, "I'm fine," when they're not. They'll shoulder emotional labor silently, always smoothing things over, always adjusting. And yet, underneath, they'll be longing for someone to see them. Not just their smiles or efforts, but their fatigue, their fears, their need to receive. They don't ask for much, and that's part of the problem. Because their love is so selfless, it's easy to forget they have needs of their own. The right partner will remind them, lovingly, intentionally, that they, too, deserve to be cared for. Despite the challenges, the Libra pig is not fragile. On the contrary, they possess a kind of quiet strength that only reveals itself under pressure. They're the spouse who will stay through the tough seasons, the illness, the financial stress, the growing pains, as long as love and respect are intact. They will weather the storm with grace, but they need to know you're holding the umbrella, too. They believe deeply in mutual effort, that love should never be one-sided, that both people should be all in, even when life gets messy. Marry one, and you will be loved with the kind of care that cannot be faked, steady, soulful, and stunningly deep. To the Libra pig, marriage is not about fixing each other or completing each other. It's about creating a space where both people can fully be themselves, raw, real, unmasked, and be loved even more for it. They're not searching for perfection. They're searching for belonging, that quiet, invisible thread that binds two souls across time, through all versions of themselves, through change and chaos and beauty and grief. So if you are lucky enough to be married to one, cherish them. Protect their softness, celebrate their effort, listen to what they don't say. And remember, their heart is a sanctuary, not just for them, but for you, too. If you honor it, you'll never need to question where home is again. Sex. sensual, safe, and a little bit surprising. To understand the sexual nature of a Libra born in the year of the pig, you must first understand that for them, intimacy is not something casual or separate from love. It is an extension of it, a deeper layer of connection that weaves together body, heart, and spirit. Sex, for this soul, is never just about release. It is about resonance. It is where two people meet without masks, without small talk, in a space where truth is spoken through touch. They aren't lovers in the performative sense. They are lovers in the sacred sense, intentional, aware, and present in every movement, every breath, every quiet glance exchanged in the dark. The Libra pig brings a rare combination of tenderness and indulgent pleasure to the bedroom. Libra, ruled by Venus, brings a deep appreciation for beauty, sensuality, and the art of giving and receiving affection. They are seducers of the senses, attuned to the atmosphere, soft lighting, clean sheets, ambient music, the faint scent of something floral or earthy lingering in the air. Meanwhile, the pig's earthy nature adds an element of full-bodied physicality. They are unafraid to enjoy the tactile pleasure of skin on skin, warmth against warmth, time taken slowly and meaningfully. Together, this creates a lover who is fully there, not rushing to the finish line, but savoring the journey like a fine wine poured drop by drop. There is a strong sense of receptivity in their intimacy. They listen, not just to words, but to your body, your reactions, your breathing, your energy. They care deeply about their partner's experience, often prioritizing your pleasure as equal to, if not above, their own. But this isn't martyrdom, it's instinct. They feel most aroused when they sense they are giving something meaningful, creating a space where you can relax into complete trust. That's the key word with them, trust. Emotional safety is their true turn-on. Without it, they may hold back, keep things surface level, or disengage altogether. But when they feel emotionally secure, seen, and cherished, a different side emerges, one that is surprisingly explorative, imaginative, and uninhibited. This isn't the kind of lover who needs to act dominant or wild to feel sexy. Their power lies in their softness, in the way they know exactly where to place a hand, when to pause, how to make silence feel charged rather than awkward. They understand the art of anticipation, of slow build-ups, of not rushing the undressing of the body because they're still busy admiring the soul. Yet don't confuse their gentleness for passivity. Once they trust you deeply, the bedroom becomes a canvas, and they are not afraid to paint in bold strokes. They'll surprise you, not with loud declarations or brash experimentation, but with subtle, courageous invitations to explore together. They might suggest trying something new, not out of kink or curiosity alone, but out of a desire to grow closer through shared vulnerability. Their sensuality is tied directly to atmosphere. They are deeply affected by the environment. A rushed, mechanical setting can kill the mood instantly, while a room lit by candlelight, with music softly playing in the background, can unlock their most uninhibited self. The pig influence craves physical comfort. Think soft sheets, the scent of skin, warmth, closeness, limbs entangled for hours afterward. Libra wants emotional elegance, a graceful connection, not one born out of chaos or desperation. That's why they don't do well with one-night stands or passion born from drama. They prefer intimacy that unfolds over time, layered with trust, laughter, whispers, and quiet glances that say more than words ever could. They are also remarkably body positive, not in the loud activist sense, but in the lived reality of loving you exactly as you are. In their arms, insecurities begin to fade. They don't obsess over imperfections. They don't critique. They want to make you feel beautiful, adored, and safe in your own skin. Their touch tells you that you are enough. Not once you lose the weight, not once you become more confident, but now, in this exact moment. And when you feel that acceptance, something unlocks. You both begin to let go, to give more freely, to open the door to a more powerful kind of pleasure, the kind born not from performance, but from presence. Communication is another cornerstone of their intimacy. They want to know what you like, not through interrogation, but through invitation. They'll ask what feels good, read your cues, and gently guide the experience based on how you respond. They don't want just mutual climax, they want mutual understanding. They're the kind who will talk after, cuddling close, reflecting, laughing, connecting again, not because they're trying to be romantic, but because they don't know how to be detached. For them, sex is communication. It's another way of saying, I see you. I trust you. I choose you. There's also something inherently healing about their sexual energy. They have a natural ability to soothe, to quiet anxieties, to rebuild confidence, to create a sanctuary where all the noise of the outside world falls away. If you've been hurt before, if you've carried shame or fear into your relationships, the Libra pig can be the one who helps you exhale. Their patience, their empathy, their refusal to rush you, it all sends a message: you are safe here. You are wanted here. You don't have to pretend. But this deep emotional wiring comes with a challenge: they can't separate sex from meaning. If they sense they're being used, or if they begin to feel unappreciated, their desire may fade without warning. They are sensitive, attuned, and at times fragile. An emotionally cold or selfish partner can shut them down. They need reassurance, reciprocity, warmth. A simple thank you, a loving glance, a shared sigh in the dark. These are the threads that keep their flame burning. In long-term relationships, their sexuality deepens. They're not lovers who grow bored with time. In fact, the more emotionally secure they feel, the more adventurous and open they become. They want to grow in love, and that includes in bed. They see intimacy as an evolving language, and they're fluent in its poetry. What begins as gentle may become more intense. What starts as familiar may unfold into something entirely new, but only if the emotional foundation remains strong. In essence, to be with a Libra pig sexually is to experience a kind of emotional undressing that happens alongside the physical. They are slow-burning fires that don't always blaze from the start, but once lit, they warm you in ways you didn't know you needed. With them, sex is not just a moment. It's a memory, a ritual, a kind of quiet magic that lingers long after the lights are out. They don't just make love, they invite you in. And once you've entered that sacred space with them, you may find yourself wondering how you ever lived without it. Friendship. Loyal hearts with rose-colored glasses. A Libra born in the year of the pig is the kind of friend you didn't know you were missing until they show up and quietly rearrange the emotional furniture of your life. Suddenly, things feel warmer, softer, more meaningful. Friendship to them isn't just a social bond or a way to pass time. It's a chosen family, an emotional home where loyalty and kindness are the core values. They approach friendships with the same heart they bring to love, full, generous, and endlessly idealistic. To them, being someone's friend means showing up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. It means remembering the little things: your favorite snack, your sister's name, that job interview you had 3 months ago. Their kindness is subtle, sincere, and often sacrificial. They'll drive across town at 10 p.m. if you need a hug. They'll send you a playlist when you're down. They'll spend hours listening to you vent without once turning the conversation toward themselves. They're the emotional memory keepers. The ones who remember anniversaries of your victories and your losses. They show up with food when you're sick, notes when you're anxious, jokes when you're grieving. There's a quiet nobility in the way they love their friends. It's not loud or attention-seeking. In fact, it often goes unnoticed, but it runs deep and unwavering. Their Libra side gives them an instinctive understanding of balance and emotional nuance. They know when to speak, when to just listen, when to crack a joke, and when to hold your hand in silence. Their pig side brings warmth, softness, and a desire to care for those they love in practical ways. You'll never doubt whether they care about you. They'll make sure you feel it, not just hear it. And yet, for all their wisdom and intuition, the Libra pig has a significant vulnerability in friendship. They tend to see the world, and the people in it, through rose-colored glasses. They want to believe the best about everyone. They will give people the benefit of the doubt long past the point of reason. They make excuses for bad behavior, they downplay their own hurt, and they continue offering kindness even to those who have proven they don't deserve it. They'll convince themselves that the friend who forgot their birthday probably just had a stressful week. That the one who never returns calls is just busy. That the one who lied didn't mean to. Their forgiveness is vast, and their hope for redemption is practically bottomless. This openness, while beautiful, can leave them vulnerable. When betrayed, they don't seek revenge. They don't lash out. Instead, they turn inward, quietly hurt, often confused, asking themselves what they did wrong. Their first instinct is to blame themselves, to look for what they could have done differently to avoid the disappointment. It takes them a long time to admit when someone isn't good for them, and even longer to let go. They cling to memories, to hopes, to the person they thought someone could be, sometimes at the cost of their own peace. And yet, they believe in second chances. And third, maybe fourth, their heart is stitched together with faith in people, sometimes undeserved but always offered freely. In social settings, they tend to gravitate toward smaller, more intimate friendships rather than large crowds. They aren't the life of the party, unless they know everyone well. They bloom in emotionally safe spaces where authenticity is the currency and kindness is non-negotiable. They don't have time for toxic dynamics, passive-aggressive games, or competitive friendships. They'll quietly exit cliques and drama-filled groups without confrontation, just a slow retreat until one day you realize they're gone. They prefer a few ride-or-die connections over dozens of shallow acquaintances. They're not interested in being popular. They're interested in being seen. One of their most beautiful traits is how they celebrate their friends. Not out of obligation or envy, but with pure, unfiltered joy. When you win, they light up. When you fall, they reach out. When you're lost, they'll hold your map until you remember where you were going. They're the friend who sends flowers, just because, the one who texts you your own words of encouragement when you've forgotten your strength. They don't keep score. They don't need the spotlight. But they do need to feel appreciated. Not in grand gestures, but in mutual effort. A simple, thank you. A returned favor. A call that says, how are you really? They don't give to get, but they do need to feel that their care isn't one-sided. As they grow older, the Libra pig becomes more discerning. Life teaches them that not everyone deserves access to their heart. They begin to notice patterns. The takers, the fair-weather friends, the ones who vanish when the road gets bumpy. They still offer grace, but they learn to offer it with boundaries. They learn to love without losing themselves. And when they finally build that tight circle of trustworthy souls, they protect it fiercely. They pour into those relationships like a gardener tending to rare flowers. And if you're in that circle, you'll know, because you'll never feel more loved, more supported, or more emotionally safe. Their friendships, like everything else they do, are touched by intention. They don't let go easily, but when they do, it's because they've tried every other option first. And while it may take them time to trust again, once they do, that trust is rock solid. They'll never bring your secrets to others. They'll never belittle your pain. They'll never compete with you. Instead, they'll stand quietly behind you in every storm, holding the umbrella, whispering, "You've got this." To be loved by a Libra pig is to be held, not physically alone, but emotionally, spiritually, consistently. They may not always ask for help, and they may not always speak their hurt, but they'll always be there when you need them. Their friendship is a promise, spoken not with grand declarations, but with presence, patience, and the kind of loyalty that never makes you question where you stand. And in a world that often feels chaotic and cold, their heart is a place of warmth. A place you can always come back to. A place that never stops hoping, even when it's been let down. A place where love, even in friendship, is treated as something sacred. Business, diplomacy meets devotion. In the professional world, a Libra born in the year of the pig walks in like a quiet current, calm, composed, and seemingly understated, but underneath that smooth exterior lies a powerful blend of vision, compassion, and unwavering drive. They don't need to dominate a room to influence it. They shape it through presence, consistency, and grace. Business, for them, is never just about profit. It's about purpose. It's about building something that reflects their values: fairness, harmony, beauty, service, and above all, integrity. These individuals aren't climbing the ladder to crush competition. They're ascending thoughtfully, often with others on their shoulders, believing success isn't success if it's achieved selfishly. The Libra side of this individual brings diplomacy, refined social skills, and a masterful sense of timing. They know when to speak and when to let silence do the work. They have an uncanny ability to read a room, sense unspoken tensions, and adjust accordingly, not as manipulation, but as harmony building. Whether it's resolving conflict between coworkers or managing client expectations with elegance, they approach every business interaction like a delicate dance, listening, balancing, and subtly guiding things toward fairness and resolution. They are natural mediators, emotionally fluent leaders who create peace not by dominating but by understanding. Their energy calms chaos, diffuses egos, and transforms friction into cooperation. Layer that with the year of the pig influence, and you get a worker who's not only emotionally intelligent but fiercely dedicated. Pigs may be gentle on the outside, but they have a deep reservoir of persistence, patience, and strength. When the Libra pig finds a mission or job they care about, they don't clock in and out, they live it. They'll stay up late perfecting a presentation not for praise, but because they genuinely care about the outcome. They'll volunteer for the extra project because they want to contribute. They give their work the same kind of care they give people, thoughtful, detailed, wholehearted. And that combination makes them an incredible asset to any team, even if they don't always demand the spotlight. That said, their strength is also their potential pitfall. Their desire to make others happy, the Libra's need for approval combined with the pig's generous nature, can make it difficult for them to assert boundaries. They might say yes when they're exhausted, take on extra work when they're already buried, avoid delegating because they don't want to burden anyone else. And worst of all, they often suppress frustration until it begins to quietly erode their enthusiasm. Confrontation doesn't come naturally to them. They'd rather suffer in silence than risk creating discord. This can lead to burnout, especially in high-stress or competitive work environments where their empathy is exploited rather than respected. Decision-making can also be a challenge. The Libra brain constantly weighs options, looking for the fairest, most balanced path forward. But in business, time-sensitive decisions must be made, and not everyone will be happy with the outcome. That can paralyze the Libra pig, who wants unanimous agreement and universal approval. Their fear of upsetting others can delay important actions or lead them to second-guess their instincts. Ironically, they are often right in their gut feelings, but struggle to act with confidence unless someone validates their choices. They thrive when surrounded by supportive leaders or partners who remind them their voice matters, even when it disrupts the status quo. Despite these internal battles, their reputation in the workplace is often stellar. They are admired for their work ethic, reliability, and sense of fairness. They may not shout their accomplishments from the rooftops, but those who work closely with them see their value clearly. They are the team member who double-checks details, remembers birthdays, steps in when someone else drops the ball, and uplifts colleagues without needing recognition. They believe in win-win outcomes, and they're willing to put in the extra effort to make sure no one is left behind. That kind of emotional leadership, steady, soft, but strong, creates workplaces people actually want to be part of. Creativity is another cornerstone of the Libra pig's professional profile. The Libra influence lends an innate sense of design, symmetry, and communication. Whether they're working in marketing, UX design, branding, event planning, or even HR, they have a natural eye for beauty and a deep sense of how people experience environments, visually, emotionally, and intellectually. Combine that with the pig's flair for creating comfort and pleasure, and you have someone who can transform not only a product or campaign but an entire company culture. They bring warmth and aesthetic intuition to whatever they touch, making their workplaces more humane, more inviting, more refined. In leadership roles, they are service-oriented and people-focused. They won't be the ruthless boss cracking the whip. Instead, they lead with empathy, preferring motivation over manipulation. They genuinely care about their team's well-being and will often shoulder more than their fair share to protect others from burnout. However, if they don't learn to set firmer boundaries and say no when necessary, they risk being overwhelmed and undervalued, seen as the reliable workhorse rather than the visionary they are. With the right coaching or experience, though, they grow into wise, compassionate leaders who inspire loyalty and dedication from their teams not through force, but through respect. They also thrive in mission-driven work, nonprofits, community organizations, values-based startups, and companies with a heart. If they're simply earning a paycheck without feeling connected to the deeper purpose of their work, they'll slowly lose motivation. They need to believe in what they're building. Once they find that sense of alignment, however, they become unstoppable. Their devotion kicks in full force, and they will pour themselves into the cause with tireless energy. And unlike some passion-driven people, the Libra pig is remarkably capable of balancing dream and execution. They're not just visionaries, they're implementers. They'll map out the steps, organize the team, communicate with clarity, and execute with heart. Above all, their business philosophy is rooted in relationships. They understand that behind every brand, every project, every goal, there are people. And they treat those people with dignity, patience, and care. They don't burn bridges, they build them, slowly, with intention, and often stronger than anyone expected. Colleagues may forget what was said in meetings, but they'll remember how the Libra pig made them feel, respected, included, heard. In a world where business is often associated with aggression, speed, and cold calculation, the Libra pig brings something radically different: conscious leadership. A deep belief that success and kindness are not opposites. That strategy can coexist with soul. That a well-run business doesn't just produce results, it uplifts the people who run it. And when given the space to do what they do best, they don't just contribute. They transform. Quietly, steadily, and always with heart. Dark sides, the hidden storms beneath the calm. Beneath the graceful charm, warm heart, and diplomatic energy of a Libra born in the year of the pig lies an emotional terrain far more complex than they let on. On the surface, they appear balanced, kind, and composed, the kind of person who diffuses tension, finds the right words, and never seems to lose their cool. But this polished exterior masks an interior world of constant emotional calculation, a non-stop loop of weighing, adjusting, appeasing, and internalizing. Their greatest shadow doesn't announce itself loudly. It's wrapped in politeness, in helpfulness, in that dangerous desire to be everything to everyone. The Libra pig doesn't break things. They break themselves to keep everything else intact. People-pleasing is the first and most insidious pattern they wrestle with. The Libra side abhors conflict, and the pig side seeks harmony and acceptance. Together, this creates a person who will nod while bleeding internally, who will say, "It's fine," when it absolutely isn't, who will smile while swallowing disappointment like it's their civic duty. They can become so attuned to the moods of others that they neglect their own needs entirely. Their boundaries aren't just thin, sometimes they don't exist. And here's the twist: this doesn't come from weakness. It comes from a deeply ingrained fear of being rejected for simply existing as they are. If you really knew how much they struggle to say no, how much guilt they carry for prioritizing themselves, you'd understand why exhaustion becomes their default setting. This tendency to over-accommodate often leads them into unbalanced relationships, not just romantic ones, but friendships, family dynamics, even professional environments. They attract takers, emotional vampires, manipulators, and they stay far too long, hoping things will improve, thinking if they just love harder or bend a little more, the other person will finally understand. But they often mistake their compassion for responsibility, believing it's their job to fix others, to soften every blow, to absorb every disappointment. And when they realize they've been used or overlooked, they rarely explode. They implode. Another shadow lies in their relationship with idealism. Libra pigs are romantics at heart, not just in love, but in everything. They fall in love with people's potential. They envision what a relationship could be, what a career might feel like, how a dream should unfold. And that optimism, while beautiful, becomes a trap. They often cling to illusions long after reality has sent up flares. They can ignore red flags with breathtaking commitment, painting over toxic behaviors with emotional rationalizations. They believe in the best version of people, sometimes to the point of self-betrayal. They don't let go easily, and when they finally do, it's not because they've stopped caring, it's because they've run out of emotional oxygen. One of their most misunderstood dark sides is their tendency to withdraw. While some signs fight or lash out when hurt, the Libra pig goes quiet. They disappear emotionally. They ghost not out of cruelty, but as a defense mechanism, because they've reached the limit of what their nervous system can carry. They don't do this dramatically. They won't slam doors or burn bridges. They simply fade. They go numb. They become distant, polite, mechanical, a shell of their former warmth. It's not coldness, it's protective disengagement. After giving too much for too long, they shut down in order to survive. And tragically, most people don't notice until it's far too late. They also struggle with identity. Their desire to be liked, admired, accepted, especially in group settings, can lead to emotional shapeshifting. They often take on the moods, values, and preferences of those around them without even realizing it. They become who you need them to be. But over time, this chameleon instinct erodes their sense of self. Who are they really, outside of who they've had to be for others? That question haunts them more than they'll ever admit. And the more disconnected they feel from their own truth, the more they rely on external validation to fill the void. Compliments, approval, affection, anything that tells them, you're enough. You're safe. And let's not forget the quiet resentment that brews under the surface. They won't confront you directly. They won't say, this hurt me, or, you crossed a line. Instead, they collect tiny disappointments like pebbles in their pocket, pretending the weight is manageable, until one day, it's not. When they finally cut ties, it often feels sudden to others. But for the Libra pig, it was never sudden. It was years of overlooked needs, swallowed truths, forced smiles. It was love given without return. It was their slow death by 1,000 emotional paper cuts. When they leave, they don't do it angrily. They do it mournfully, and once they're gone, they rarely come back. At work, their dark side shows up as overextension. They take on too much, overcompensate for weaker colleagues, say yes to impossible timelines, and then blame themselves when things slip. They can become perfectionists, paralyzed by the fear of disappointing others. And yet, they don't always ask for help, either because they don't want to burden others or because they've convinced themselves they should be able to handle it all. But they can't. No one can. And when the burnout hits, it doesn't look like anger. It looks like absence. Checked out, overwhelmed, gone. The saddest part of the Libra pig's shadow is how quietly it operates. They're so skilled at maintaining a calm exterior that even those closest to them might not realize how much they're suffering. They smile while unraveling. They show up while hollowed out. And because they rarely ask for support, their pain often goes unnoticed, until it manifests as anxiety, illness, depression, or a complete emotional shutdown. They don't want to be seen as needy. They don't want to be anyone's burden. But in protecting others from their vulnerability, they isolate themselves from the very connection they crave most. Still, there's a strange kind of beauty in their darkness, because even when they're hurting, they try to protect others from that hurt. Even in their silence, they're hoping someone will see past it. Even as they withdraw, they're praying for someone to knock gently and say, I know you're in there. You don't have to carry it alone. Their darkness isn't cruel, it's unspoken grief, a lifetime of loving too hard and being met with too little. A war between their inner truth and the world's expectations. And while it may take time, once they learn to advocate for themselves, set boundaries, and speak their needs out loud, their shadows begin to soften. Not disappear, but transform into wisdom, compassion, and finally, peace. Life purpose. Creating beauty, healing pain, and choosing themselves. The life path of a Libra born in the year of the pig is not built on ego, ambition, or status. It's carved from something deeper, quieter, and more sacred. Their purpose isn't to dominate the world, but to transform it, through empathy, through beauty, through a kind of loving presence that doesn't scream for attention but gently reorients those around them back to their hearts. These are the people who carry light into dark rooms, who soften conflict without speaking a word, who notice the things others miss and turn them into something meaningful. And yet, while they may instinctively know how to care for the world, the real journey, the true purpose, lies in learning how to care for themselves with the same devotion. They are born with a compass that points to harmony. The Libra within them craves justice, fairness, and emotional balance, not just between people, but within the systems and stories they encounter. The pig adds heart, softness, and a desire to ease suffering, to lift burdens, to restore peace wherever it's been broken. This combination creates a person who naturally gravitates toward beauty, not just in the aesthetic sense, but in the spiritual one. They want to beautify spaces, experiences, and emotions. Whether it's a home, a conversation, a project, or a wound, the Libra pig wants to leave it better than they found it, more aligned, more human, more whole. But their calling isn't just to be the healer, it's to become whole themselves. And that's the twist. Their purpose is often entangled in their greatest struggle. Because while they're masters at soothing others, they often forget to extend that same tenderness inward. Their deepest lesson is not how to love others, they already excel at that. It's how to love themselves without guilt. To say, my needs matter. To say no and mean it. To step away without explaining. To hold their own pain without minimizing it. They must learn to stop giving from depletion and start giving from abundance, and that shift, though simple on paper, can take them half a lifetime to master. Part of their life's work involves redefining strength. The world often praises loudness, dominance, and hustle, but the Libra pig offers a different kind of power. The power to listen when others shout. The power to forgive without forgetting. The power to build bridges where others burn them. The power to dream and do. They are proof that gentleness is not weakness, that softness can be a sword, that emotional intelligence is just as valuable as intellect. When they embrace this truth, when they stop trying to be what others expect and begin to live as who they are, their life becomes a quiet revolution, one that inspires change simply by existing authentically. Their calling is not linear, and often, not loud. They may wander through several paths before finding the one that feels like home. They might try to follow conventional success, only to find it hollow. They may spend years in roles that drain them, relationships that diminish them, environments that dull their shine, all because they were taught that being nice was more important than being real. But eventually, something breaks open. A moment, maybe quiet, maybe seismic, when they realize they've been performing peace instead of living in it. And in that moment, their life begins to pivot. They stop chasing perfection and start honoring truth. They stop chasing validation and start chasing alignment. This alignment often leads them to creative or humanitarian paths. They are natural artists, counselors, spiritual seekers, and community builders. Whether they're designing spaces, writing stories, leading retreats, building businesses with heart, or simply holding space for someone who's hurting, they do it with a kind of intuitive grace that can't be taught. They turn chaos into clarity. They turn silence into connection. They turn pain into poetry. And not because they want applause, but because it's who they are. Their soul won't let them turn away from what's broken. Their heart insists on tending to it, gently, patiently, fully. But here's the part they often overlook. Their ability to change the world is directly linked to how much they allow the world to change them. Not in a way that hardens them, but in a way that sharpens them. They are here to learn how to move through life without losing their softness. How to forgive themselves as easily as they forgive others. How to protect their energy without closing off their heart. How to speak their truth without apology, even if it shakes the room. The more they live in alignment with their true nature, the more magnetic, effective, and peaceful they become, not because they're striving for impact, but because they are the impact. There's also a karmic thread in their journey, a repeating lesson around boundaries, self-worth, and self-identity. They may find themselves in relationships that test their ability to advocate for themselves, in careers that reward their sacrifice but ignore their needs, in roles where they're praised for being supportive but punished for being assertive. These are not failures, these are initiations, each one teaching them that peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of authenticity. Their purpose is not to be liked, it's to be true, and when they stop betraying themselves in the name of approval, they stop attracting circumstances that require their betrayal in the first place. What ultimately sets the Libra pig apart is their unwavering belief in the goodness of life. Even after disappointment, even after heartbreak, even after years of being overlooked, their light may dim, but it never goes out. They're the ones who still believe in miracles after everyone else has given up. Who still show up for others when they're hurting. Who still hold a vision of what life could be, more beautiful, more just, more whole. And once they direct that faith inward, once they say, "I deserve that goodness too," they become a force of quiet, unstoppable magic. Their life isn't meant to look like anyone else's. It may not follow the rules. It may be softer, slower, more nonlinear. But it is theirs. And the more they claim it, every joy, every wound, every whisper of intuition, the more they fulfill their purpose. To live beautifully, to love boldly, and to choose themselves, not just once, but again and again, until choosing themselves feels like coming home. If you're a Libra pig, or you love one, just know you've been gifted a heart that feels deeply, a mind that thinks beautifully, and a soul that longs to make the world softer, kinder, and more fair. That's no small feat. Now imagine what happens when you finally believe that you deserve the same kind of love you so effortlessly give to others. That's when the real magic begins.